Prey. The title reminds me of all those one-word wonders from the 90s, such as Doom. It's interesting I should mention this because Prey was in development for about 10 years, worked on by the now defunct 3D Realms, who were making Duke Nukem Forever. The game made it to the stores in 2006 after a variety of commissioned developers worked under a 3D Realms original vision. That's just a morsel of interesting history I thought I'd share. I really enjoy reading about those longer projects and their fate. So after 10 years of production, here it is. First thing I embraced was having a Native American as the protagonist. It's about damn time. Well, guess what? That's actually the essence of Prey. It's tied in with a lot of Cherokee heritage. At first it was a little befuddling to me. Tommy is the main character who wants to turn his back on his culture, but it seems he'll have to embrace it because of the events that transpire. The game begins with Tommy having words in an Oklahoma bar with his grandfather and girlfriend. Suddenly, Don't Fear the Reaper begins blaring from a jukebox and a spaceship emerges, beaming the entire bar into its hold. It appears the alien ship revealed as the Sphere is going around sucking up regions of Earth as a food source. I guess that explains the title. It becomes obvious after a few minutes that this is no ordinary spaceship. It's more like an entire city, housing thousands of different extraterrestrials. After a rather revolting scene where Tommy's grandfather perishes, it becomes apparent that Tommy will be chasing his girlfriend, Jen, around. Just when you're getting comfortable with the belief this is your standard shooter, Tommy is transported into the spirit realm. Here the ghostly figure of Tommy's grandfather reveals that the Cherokee culture isn't superstition and bestows mystical powers upon him. The explanation for this newfound ability is simple, being able to pass through where your body cannot. It appears that this skill, revealed as Spirit Walk, permits Tommy to travel through obstacles without consequences, adding a new level of gameplay. Using Spirit Walk is fundamental to solve various puzzles you'll stumble upon inside the sphere. In addition to this, there are numerous devices that players become familiar with, including gravity walkways which completely manipulate gravity, meaning it's quite common to play the game upside down. Perspective is what Prey is all about. Tommy is constantly being thrown around rooms or taking portals to other areas of the sphere, solving relatively simple puzzles using Spirit Walk and the sphere's technology accounts for more than half the game, and is presented tremendously because every challenge is unique and interesting. What FPS would be complete without some shooting? Prey is actually very concrete when combining puzzles with some action. In fact, you can easily fight while progressing through obstacles, and it's thrilling to fight upside down. There are a fine variety of enemies and a splendiferous collection of weapons, each designed for a particular situation. You can even attack in Spirit Walk to avoid taking damage, although it drains the spirit gauge when used. It can be restored by killing though. In the past I reviewed Bioshock and I said there was no penalty for dying. Guess what? In Prey, you're actually rewarded for dying. Once your life reaches zero, you're taken to a plane where a mini-game occurs involving the shooting of colored wraiths with your bow. Depending upon the color of the wraith that you shot, you either gain a little additional spirit or some life. You can't stay there forever shooting wraiths, unfortunately. Tommy is eventually revived in the spot where he died. I have a small gripe with this system for deaths. I think it's quite innovative, however the game's difficulty adjusts as you play, meaning Tommy is gradually more susceptible to high damage hits. He can eventually be one-shotted. Visually, Prey is very strapping. Most of the time you're confined to corridors, but when you access the outdoor areas of the sphere, it just looks incredible. It was developed on the Doom 3 engine and is an astounding modification. The environment plays an important role in the player understanding the sphere as the game world, and it's very creative. The art designers clearly worked overtime, creating a lot of concept art and rendering it into something stunning. When analysing the music of Prey, I like to relate back to the feature on the box, stating that Jeremy Soule worked on it. I instantly remembered who he was because of Dungeon Siege and my enjoyment of that game and its music. I know a lot of composers tend to have similar styles flowing, but I'm convinced it's identical to many pieces in Siege, and that was an RPG. It's quite appropriate for a sci-fi title, it's just people who played Dungeon Siege before might feel cheated. Existing as an alternative to Halo clones, Prey is made wonderful by its weird and wacky puzzles, complemented with the glorious environment where it takes place. Putting things in a different perspective and making players think more laterally is honestly marvelous. If you played Portal before, I think you'll love Prey. Working in a sturdy shooting counterpart was great because of the diverse ways in which aliens can be disposed. The weapons are perfectly balanced. Having them Native American for a change was quite unexpected and distinctive because of all the cultural elements that were integrated, seemingly working with the science fiction. I talked about puzzles constantly during this review. They're not that taxing on the mind, regrettably, however one could argue that this was to keep the fast-paced flow in check. Second issue I wanted to speak about was not having to concern yourself with death. I didn't like the scaling system in place to steadily pump up the difficulty, meaning death could be quite inadvertent. If there were general difficulty settings and limitations on returning from the dead, I think the challenge would have been fine, although in this instance it's too unusual and easy. There's also a harder difficulty mode called Cherokee reserved for players who enjoy visiting the plane. Overall, Prey was a very refreshing change for me, especially considering I just played The Abomination, which is Halo 2 on PC. I think the pacing is excellent, and getting familiar with the change in viewpoint is fun. The story is somewhat generic, but exists in a thoroughly original environment, crawling with strange creatures and technology. Although short, Prey is memorable as the game that lets you walk on walls. You know what? I'm going to defy Metacritic and give Prey 97%. I don't mind the narrative was weak. The game is really fun and brings back memories of Duke Nukem. Prey was made available only on the PC and the Xbox 360. I prefer the PC for controls and that old school feeling, but Xbox 360 players will generally get the same experience. It really only depends on what system you own. Any modern PC with a 9600 GT or better can run Prey perfectly. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I'm in need of some suggestions for game reviews. Please add them to my channel comments.
Worst Indian casino ever.
Sir? May I see your invitation, please?
Sure. Here's my invitation.